So my first anxiety attack came when I was in college, and I didn't know that's what it was at the time. I just have a vivid memory of just sitting under a tree and a friend of mine, and I just was with me, and I just kept asked her, can we just not go anywhere for a moment? Like it was just washing over me. It wasn't my first year at college. In fact, I think it was my last year, but something about that, just like being away from home again, then just made it all come crashing down. But then it was business as usual. We moved on, and I didn't think about it again. Um, at this point, I had no concept that I had anxiety, or well, I guess I'd been depressed in high school, but who isn't? Um, and I guess I had an inkling that I had obsessive compulsive disorder, but it was nothing all that intrusive. It wasn't until after college when I finally had some freed up mental headspace. I moved back home. I didn't have a job for like 6 months, and my mind could just wander, and it could go where it wanted to, not where I wanted it to go. Eventually I did get a job and started working, and that's when I had my second anxiety attack, and this time I recognized it for what it was. And it was paralyzing. And it was nothing rational. The worst anxiety never is, in my experience. After the anxiety attack, my anxiety was incredibly high for just a good long while, and I would just focus in on anything to be afraid of, no matter how ridiculous it sounded. I was raised Catholic, but I am not religious anymore. But I went into a spiral of, oh God, what if I'm wrong to turn my back on my religion? What if I'm going to hell because of that? Which is something I fundamentally don't believe in. I read a post online, something about aliens, and then I was so tragically convinced that we were going to be invaded and I was going to be eaten along with my entire family. It was absolutely ludicrous, but it felt so earth-shatteringly and crushingly real. So when I first had the anxiety attack, my family was away, and so I was kind of just on my own for a few days, which maybe helped to bring it on now that I come to think of it. So I went to the free clinic and just told the doctor what was going on. And they prescribed me my first medication. It was on and off from there on out. It took me a good long while to find a balance, and because at first, when the medication started kicking in, I became very lethargic and depressed. The anxiety was very quickly replaced by depression. And it always seems to be one or the other. It's a balancing act, and you fall too far one way and you're jittery, and you fall too far the other and you never even want to move. And so I've been on and off with that for a few years. I changed houses once, I changed jobs a couple times. It does get in the way from time to time. And it's definitely strained a few of my relationships. I was extremely close with one friend when it was all starting, and they were supportive, but I put too much on them, and I don't know if I drove them away or I just was thinking I was driving them away, and so I kind of stopped talking to them. The good that came out of it was it reintroduced me to my current, then ex-girlfriend, someone I dated in college, Elizabeth. Liz. I was going through all of my past mistakes in my anxiety, focusing in on everyone I had even remotely wronged, and I became so convinced that I had really hurt Liz. And it was my fault that we broke up. I really did. But I was so convinced that, oh my God, I ruined her life. And so I reached out to her and apologized, and we started talking again. And now we're very happily together. And so much as my anxiety has really sucked over the time, I guess I do have to thank it. I can't remember if it's my mother or my sister who says sometimes you have to try and thank your anxiety because it's watching out for you. It's worrying about you. It's trying to make sure you're doing the best you can. It's just hurting you in the process.